Well, as I said, I didn't really experience, or maybe I just didn't understand it when I was a kid. But as growing up, starting probably in high school, I would see things, interactions with people that it didn't really involve me once again, because I don't know what it is. I don't see things right away. It takes me a little bit of time to realize, hmm, that was directed at me. But I've always grew up, ever since I lived in Hawaii, in neighborhoods, and I went to diverse schools. I lived in diverse neighborhoods. And people, I guess, because they thought, oh, I can honestly say, I think people for years, especially as a teenager in high school, they would say to me, oh, you're not like other people that are brown like you or whatever. I used to think that was a compliment. First of all, I've learned more and more that's not a compliment, because they think they're complimenting me because they're taking me out of the space or the image of my people. So I learned right away that that wasn't a compliment to me, when a lot of people would say that, because they think, because the way I speak, first of all, and there's other people that look like me that speak like me. For instance, my family, some of my friends that look like me, but I guess I was maybe the first person of color, such as myself, that they would interact with, communicate with. So they just equated me as being not like my own people, that I was different because of the way I spoke, the way, I don't know what they thought, but I found out that in my heart and what I could feel from it, that it was racism to me and people, African American people that are like me.
For the most part, I didn't try to let it impact me, but because of the times in which, the era in which I grew up in, it was just ultimately going to happen. And for a lot of my generation, I can speak, it gave us a total lack of respect for authority, because you had these individuals in our communities who were sworn to protect and serve, and they were beating, robbing, harassing individuals unnecessarily. And we didn't have, you had people with, sky pagers and regular pagers, and it was rare for somebody to have a cell phone. So we don't have the luxury of this generation to record things. We was always guilty and had to fight to prove ourselves innocent. We was harassed on a day-to-day basis. Even when the officers would be in the schools, just the conversation of how they would talk to us. They always belittled us. They talked down to us. So for a period, it turned me into a militant. They labeled me as a militant, but I wasn't. If you were deemed pro-Black during my era, you was deemed a militant and a renegade. So it wasn't no Black power. It wasn't no Black Lives Matter. It was just like, okay, lock them up, throw away the key, run, put them in TPI, let them do psych exams and evaluations on them, because their thing was, something is wrong with you. No, nothing was wrong with us. We're just coming to the realization that we're not our grandparents, that we're going to lay down and take what you guys are doing. We're going to fight back. And
being raised with racism and discrimination has motivated me more than anything. Again, it's what's propelled me to want to go get my degrees and my education. It made me want to study people who I thought, in my mind, who were great. Mostly were athletes. Like, I read several autobiographies on Michael Jordan, LeBron James, people who weren't athletes like Jeff Bezos, because I wanted to see things that they did and pick up on characteristics that made them great and how they persevered through hardships and difficulty. So without the racism and the discrimination, I would not push myself as hard as I do or I have. And there were a lot of people who reached back and helped me along the way. And that's what those people were the ones who really motivated me to say, hey, go back and help somebody else. And that got me into mentoring people at work. And then that's what ultimately got me to join Team Up and want to mentor a young child. Now I coach high school football and I've got maybe 80 kids, 90 kids who I talk to on a regular basis. So it's turned out, it's a bad thing, but it turned out to work out in my favor, I think.
Like I said before, when I got older is when I experienced it, and it kind of threw me off. When I was in high school and I wanted to try out for the dance team and I didn't know where to go, one of the security guards, he was white. And, I asked him, where am I supposed to go? And just his tone, and he was like angry with me for no reason. And this comment that he made, why are you looking at me like you've never seen a white person before? And I was just like taken back, like, what's going on here? And of course I went home to my mom and she was very livid. But yeah, it was just something that it stuck to me that this really does happen in the world. And from then on, it has changed sadly, it did change my perspective, but it didn't stop me from interacting with, white people and stuff like that. But I had to, not be naive to the fact that people are still like this in this world, and still show kindness to them, even though it can be hard and still is hard. And it's just bringing a light to the world that, we still have to teach our children. I was taught too, but I didn't want to accept it when I was little, I think. And now with children, there's an innocence to children, and you have to let them know not everyone's going to like you. So it kind of hurt me back then that it happened because, I'm this nice person and stuff like that. And here's someone who I've never met to say that to me. It really showed that it is some cruel people in this world, but you don't have to come on their level or whatever. So that's how it kind of happened for me back then.
Understanding what racism and what discrimination is. And we talked through that a lot, Chapman and Chancellor, because I told them I wanted to be honest with them to let them know that how the world may view them as being a young Black man. And not all situations would be bad, but I did want them to know that sometimes you're going to be viewed and you're going to be looked at differently. I am so glad that, and this may sound crazy, I'm so glad that we got pulled over. I had a tail light out. It was the third brake light and we got pulled over. And Chapman was extremely, extremely nervous. And to be very honest with you, I was. Recent things that go on in the media, well, I was nervous. But I said, hey, this is the way that I want you to handle a situation when you're pulled over. You know that we weren't doing wrong, that we knew of. We weren't doing anything wrong. We pulled over, the police officer came up, asked for your driver's license, registration, kept my hands in plain view, just didn't make it, I wanted the police officer to be comfortable. I wanted everyone in the situation to be comfortable. Wasn't given a ticket at all. He said, hey man, look, it sounds like you didn't even know your tail light was out. If you can get this taken care of, make sure you get taken care of first thing tomorrow morning. Yes, sir, appreciate you, let me know. And we moved on. And Chapman was just in shock. He said, well, he wasn't mean. And I said, man, look, it would be like me telling you every police officer is bad. And then he could just say every Black male that I pull over is bad. We cannot say that he's bad and him not think the same way about us. So we have to go in every situation with positive intent. So I'm glad that I had the opportunity to interact with the police in front of Chapman, just to giving him the okay that, again, those things are going to happen as long as we handle ourselves in situations and that we can get through those.
Well, like I said, I really didn't notice it until I started in the workforce. But I think once all the social media showing the killings and everything with George Floyd, I think that really impacted me and, like made me really notice, because you hear about it, in the past with Emmett Till and things like that. But this is actually in my lifetime. I actually saw it. I actually witnessed it. I'm living it. So it has, woken me up and, made me realize that, Black lives do matter. And I need to make sure that people do understand that and why they matter.